Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's WD-40 here. Hey, a friend of mine came over today and was telling me a nice little story about being pulled over here this last weekend, or Saturday, to be exact, I guess. Um, he was here in South Dakota, and he's a 65-year-old man. And I'm going to give you a little backstory about the guy I'm talking about. He drives a Chevy pickup. And he usually never goes out of town, like, ever. It's rare. If he does, he's an older guy, still smokes the old cigarettes. And, he never leaves town. And he don't have a lot going on in his life. He's a 60-plus-year-old man. And he goes out for little drives, better than staying at home. And this man wouldn't break the speed limit if God himself pulled up next to him in a brand new Corvette or a brand new Maserati and wanted to race him. He just ain't that type of chap. You know what I mean? So when he's driving around, that poor Chevy is lucky if it does 8-10 miles an hour, and that's just the truth. Well, my buddy, he decided to go out towards the lake, and I live in Perkins County, and that's where my buddy lives too. So as soon as you get out of our town, you're almost immediately in another county called Corson CO. And he got pulled over, which is, odd for Dell because, my buddy, he just, he's not no kind of criminal. He might have had a DUI like, 5-10 years ago, which leads me to another story on why stuff like that don't get erased after so many years. But he passed the cop, and the cop gets right behind him, does a circle jerk and turns around, or flips a bitch, however you want to say it, and pulls my buddy over. And Dell's like, what the hell's going on? I didn't do anything. And I guess it was a canine unit, police dog unit, whatever. A fur missile was involved. And the cop pulls him over and goes to his passenger side, window, like, they always do. Put the little fingerprint on the tail light or somewhere on the back of the car. And then he rolls down his passenger window, and tells him, good day, what's up, what's going on, blah, 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 that usual spiel. And the cop tells him, well, Mr. So-and-so, I don't really want to say his last name, because it's, the interweb for you, the interwebs for you. But, so my buddy, he's like, what can I do for you? And the little young cop says his name, Mr. So-and-so, which kind of freaked him out because he was like, how do you even know that it's even me driving my truck? It could have been anybody else. And he asked the cop that, and, of course the cop, little cocky little bastard that he was, he didn't respond to it or nothing. So they'll ask him, if you don't mind me asking, what'd you stop me for? Oh, so the young little punk cop, he said, he told my buddy, I pulled you over because your driver's license is expired. And my buddy was like, well, that's a crock of shit. I'll get it out right now and I'll show you that it ain't expired. The cop wasn't accusing him so much of driving on like a suspended license, because that wasn't the case. He just said that his license was expired, which threw my buddy off. He was sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute. I just got this truck not too long ago. And I've got insurance, and, my tags are still kind of brand new. It's only been, 4 or 5 months. So technically that's almost like a new tag. So he goes ahead and hands him his license, and the little punk cop straight up tells him, I want to search your car. And my buddy's like, well, no, you're not. You got to have a reason to search my car first. Just because you got me pulled over doesn't mean too much of a hop shit, And he was right. As a former paralegal, he was completely right by what he said. And the cop said, well, I'm going to need you, while I'm running your license, I'm going to need you to come over and sit in my squad car. And of course, being the guy that, my buddy is, he don't want to, interfere with nothing. And he don't know the law that much because, he's like a 60, 65-year-old man. Most baby boomers, they abide by the law. Nine out of 10 of them do. And Dad was like, I really don't want to get out of my car because there isn't no reason to. I wasn't speeding. You just pulled me over just to kind of be an asshole. It's kind of harassing is what it is. You see somebody coming down the street, and just because you ain't seen nobody all day, because, we live in small towns. The town I live in is huge compared to the towns that are around us. Say like Thunderhawk or McIntosh or anywhere else that's here in South Dakota. So the cop convinced him to get out of his truck, which he should have called me. I would have advised him to keep his ass in the truck and tell that cop to go fuck himself right off the bat. But that's the type of person I am. I don't play that cop shit. But he went ahead and got in his car, and when he got in the squad car, I guess there was a police dog in there. Well, what happened was the little young cop knew that he couldn't make up no bullshit to try to get my buddy to consent to a search, because he had no reason. The cop had no reason. The little young punk cop just didn't have a reason to, search his truck. So he goes ahead and gets in the squad car. I guess it was one of the SUV kinds. And the police dog just didn't say nothing, just didn't bark, didn't sniff him, didn't do nothing. So, the cop was like, oh, I'm not going to press this civilian here to search his car if my dog ain't picking up nothing in the squad car. Now, after he told me this story, I looked over at my buddy and I said, if everything you said was factual, and I said, tell you what, give me your driver's license. Let me see it. Well, lo and behold, he breaks out that driver's license, and sure enough, there wasn't nothing wrong with that driver's license. And nor has he had any tickets or anything like that, because the man never leaves town. I mean, if you're gonna see my buddy, it's because he cruised past your house at a cool 8 miles an hour. And even the police in our town know who the guy is. Well, the police in our town know who everybody is and where you live, because we're a small town. You ain't going to do nothing in our town and don't think that even a newest cop don't know your name, your address, the size of your man sausage, how big your titties are. Y'all feel what I'm saying. So I asked my buddy, I was like, out of curiosity, I said, as you was walking up to the squad car, the patrol car, I said, was the fur missile going ape shit on you? And of course I had to explain what a fur missile was, and I said the canine, the police dog. And he said, yeah. He says, that damn thing wouldn't shut up. And he says, as soon as the cop opened the passenger door and I got in, he said, it was like the cop put that dog in mute without saying nothing. And I was like, all right, cool. So I said, the cop was fishing information out of you because he's a new cop and he's never seen you before or come down that road, but I'm sure he knows you in the town, and he ran your name beforehand, your license plate, and already knew your name. And I, basically told him, I was like, this is a normal thing for a cop. It is just like being on vacation, for example, and you got your own car. You didn't rent a car. You got your own car, and it's got out of tags, and you go into another state. Oh, you better believe 10 out of 10 times you're getting pulled over because they want to know who the hell you are. And yeah, they want to search your car because they think you're some kind of a cartel runner or some bullshit. And I'm sure we've all experienced this. But my bigger question is, and maybe some of you former sheriff's department, or some of you raggedy ass city cops, because I can't stand you mother people at all, because you guys are the crookedest of them all. The bigger the city, the worse the cop. And believe me on that, I've lived in some big ass cities. I'm well traveled, so I know this routine. I mean, hell, take the last town that I lived in Iowa. It's called Red Oak, Iowa. You literally cannot go outside your house even in a nice neighborhood, and walk down the street without getting pulled over because they want to know everything about you. And of course, the type of person I am, I'm mouthy as hell because I know the law. I've practiced the law. I may not have been a real attorney, but I did work beside the best of them. And the information that the attorneys I worked for, they won all their cases. And guess who did all the homework? I did all the litigation. That was all me. They never lost the case. At least not in the career that I was involved in. So I told Dell, I was like, it sounds like you got grounds for harassment. And my buddy, he's a good guy. His thoughts is, well, if I do that, and then, all the cops around here, all the whoop whoops, they all talk to each other. And I'm like, yeah. I said, that might be true. But I said, what's going to stop them from doing it to everybody else? And that's what needs to get worked on. And I don't know. How do you guys feel? Do you guys think that some of these cops are just bad people and they ain't got nothing else to do? They're too damn fat to get up out their squad car and they just want to harass everybody? And why is it illegal for us to harass somebody and illegal for us to lie about a situation or something, but it's perfectly okay for the police themselves to lie and harass people? When was that legal? Is there a law that I'm missing that states it's okay to harass the public? When we do it, shit, that's trespassing and any other law that they can put on us to get us in court or makes their county money. And you got to understand, things like this doesn't happen in the area I live in. Because it doesn't. Unless you screw up, getting a bar scrap or, messing with your woman that, you shouldn't be in that kind of direction, It's okay for the cops to do all this stuff, but everybody else, it's illegal. And which brings me to a story that's happened to me in our small town. The first year I lived here, I was the only one here with an electric skateboard. And I had an officer get behind me and start following me. And he stops me, hits his little gay lights. As Eddie Murphy would say, woo, pull over. But I stopped right in the dead middle of the road and I turned around and put my hands up and I said, what the fuck you following me for? Of course, people in that neighborhood heard me, so they came out their houses. And I was like, what in the hell could you possibly be pulling a man over on a fucking skateboard for? An electric skateboard. And he comes up to me and says, I need you to hold your voice down. And I was like, I need you to go fuck yourself until you answer my goddamn question. So the cops started giving me attitude because I was on this bullshit artist like stink on shit. And this cop said, well, I caught you speeding. And I was like, you caught me speeding on an electric skateboard that you can't run radar on. I was like, dude, who the fuck? I was like, you know what? I was like, I don't believe you to be a real cop, Jack. I need you to get your higher up, whether it be a sergeant, your boss, your wife, your boyfriend. I don't give a fuck. You are going to get somebody out here because I want to verify you're even a real cop. Well, I can show you my badge. I said, motherfucker, I can buy a badge off of Temu. That says a custom badge that says your county and everything. So I don't believe you a cop, motherfucker. You better show me some proof. And of course, by this point, boy, he was just not having any of that. So here it is. I'm sitting in the middle of the road, sitting on my board. And a half an hour goes by, and here comes another cop rolling up. And poor cop, I felt sorry for the young kid, because it was a police officer, a sheriff's department that I skate past him all day. The police officer knows that I stop at all stop signs, and it ain't because I don't, blow past them if I can't be seen. There ain't no police around, no cop, no stop situation. But it's because people in my town, there's stop signs everywhere, and even the police don't stop at them. People that drive humongous buses, coach buses, to give old people ride, to the grocery store or their doctor's appointment, shit, they pull out right in front of you. So this cop said, well, I visually saw you speeding. And I was like, well, ain't the speed limit here in town 20 miles an hour? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, I'd like to know how my electric skateboard did faster than 20. Because I have a skateboard that I call the Carver. I ride it at full speed, but it's by no means, if it's doing 20 miles an hour, man, that is an odd day for that electric board. It's not made for speed. It's made for carving. And so I asked this cop, I said, well, I want to see your radar gun. And I said, because I don't believe you even have one in your cop car, because I don't believe you're a real cop. I said, because real cops know the law. So I said, if you're pulling me over just because you're one of them assholes that don't like guys on skateboards, I said, that's your issue, not mine. So another cop comes up, and it happens to be the cop that I talked to. Okay? And if the cops that are around my town, they know if it's a really hot day, I'll come skate by you with a backpack, and I'll hand you a bottle of water or a sandwich from the convenience store from Pit Stop. So the cops know I'm good people. I won't mess with you, But this young cop, he came up and he started lying to the cop I knew, saying that I went through 3 stop signs, and I heard the young cop say that, and I saw the cop that knew me just started laughing. He looked over at the young cop, and I said, him? Right there? The skater boy? He goes, I see him all the time. He stops every time. He goes, unless you see one of the stop signs here in town that somebody's tree has covered it. And then he goes, you can't give nobody a ticket for that, only the homeowner. So the cop says, so what can I do here? Can I issue a ticket? And the good cop goes, no, because he didn't do anything. He says, honestly, he could get you right now for harassment. So the cop that knew me came up and asked, he goes, would you like to file charges on our newest member of the force? He says, because as far as I can see it, there's no reason that he was even behind you. And I said, how about this? I said, I messed with that cop to begin with. I said, I ain't got no reason to lie. I said, when one of you guys follow me street to street, I said, even Greg, Officer Greg, that you've been behind me and I've noticed you follow me, and I will burn out on you quicker than shit, and I will get up behind you and start following you. And Greg, Officer Greg, he looks at me and he goes, I know. He goes, ain't that how we first met? And I said, sure enough, it was, wasn't it? So, this tricking of, the police using lies like they can't get you to commit to letting them search and use their police dog. You all need to be aware that they have other tricks like leave the cop dog or the canine inside the police car and then bring you to the squad car and see if that dog picks up anything. Now that should, right there, by most state laws, not only is that false arrest, false imprisonment, but it's illegal search because you let your dog do the searching. And you did not give consent for that. That is your human right by law. Unless you're somewhere like California, and man, I don't even think the police out there can figure out their own laws because it changes every 2 minutes. So, I think these cops, especially here in Corson County, here in South Dakota, you guys are going to run across the wrong person one day. You're going to run around. You're going to run past a certain skateboarder, and you're going to use that bullshit line. What are you, a YouTube lawyer? And nothing makes a cop scared or more than when you look at him and right off the bat you say, "Oh God, no! You wouldn't be that lucky. You only wish that I was a YouTube attorney or a sovereign citizen whatever you want to call them, pathetic race of freaking people too. I mean, I've told a cop, you could only dream I was an attorney, and then the first second you turn up at him and go, no, but I've done a lot of litigation. And these cops, they ain't smart enough. You have to explain what litigation is. And then once you explain to them, they go, oh, so you're a paralegal. And I say, no, I'm a recently retired paralegal. So if you think you're going to come at me with, you're going to put me in handcuffs because I ain't going to give you my name, my man sausage side, a dick pic for you. I said, it ain't going to happen. I said, because I know my law. I know it real well. And if you're coming at me making up lies, the red flags start, you're not a real cop. So now I'm asking for somebody higher up than you, whether it be your girlfriend, your wife, your boyfriend, your trans figure. I don't give a shit. And then I'm going to start asking your sergeant or your higher up what the law is. And then I'm going to make you look stupid for even looking in my direction. Then after that, I'm going to file harassment charges on you. And I'm going to let the judge figure it out. And then you're going to pay me money. No, actually, you won't pay me money. I'll come after your job. And I'm going to ask the judge for your badge. And when a judge asks me, what am I going to do with your badge? I'm simply going to say, I'm going to melt it down and put it in a projectile. Or use it as a projectile for target practice. And the judge can take that for whatever it's worth. But I'll come after your job. Because anybody can lose money. Anybody can lose a job. But when you've been convicted as a criminal, as a cop for harassment, good luck even getting a security job working at your local mall. And don't think you're going to go back into the Army. Because I'll make notes to the military too. And you will get dishonorable discharge. I think some of you cops out there are corrupt. And this aches me to say because I like the police. I don't like all you some bitches though. Some of you are too young. And most of you that are young don't know wrong from right because you're entitled. You grew up rich. Or maybe you grew up being a bully and you're getting revenge on the general public. But you're going to find out one day the general public will band together and we'll all start writing emails to your higher ups and you won't have a job no more. This is WD-40. And if you think you're going to get something on me, you must be high. And if you think you're going to go around regular and mess with old people, older people, the same people you're supposed to respect, and you're going to get the dog to jump on them or jump on their ride, you're going to be dead wrong. Now, I know if I hear another story about this where I live, I'm personally going to make the harassment on you guys. Because it has to stop somewhere. This is the year 2025 and not all of us has ever been criminals. And when we get stopped and pulled over for no reason, you should expect us to be pissed and calling you every name in the book. Because we know that's what you've already did. It's Agent WD-40. And I'm out this. Bia.